What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Episode 8 of the Built to Last podcast.
Sir.
We're gonna keep on keeping on with it, keep moving forward. It's exciting for us every week to kind of see our growth in it and to be able to go closer with each other, and when we bring on other people to learn their stories too.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought last week went really well, and I'm excited to get into this week too. So
For sure. We have a great episode lined up here for today. Like Cruz said, we just continue to push out more and more episodes each and every single week, trying to reach as many people as possible. That's our goal. So we're excited for this week. Get started here.
yeah, so our topic for this week, little song quote. It's either I win or I learn. So, and as an athlete, I was thinking about this last night. I don't believe that there's ever been an athlete that didn't experience disappointment on the field, and it's not like the disappointment of someone else letting you down, but sometimes it's like your own performance. You're like, dang, I could have done a little more today. I could have played a little better. But I think it's important to understand that those games are going to happen. I'm not always going to go out and have my best stuff. No, nobody is. And so kind of understanding that and being able to, instead of seeing it as a loss, like as a learning opportunity, making sure that you do your best to prevent anything like that from ever happening again, right?
Right.
I think those are important things, important viewpoints, but also important, I guess, like an approach to a loss or a disappointment.
Right. Yeah, I would say, like when talking about sports in general, like you said, there's never, like, an athlete's always going to experience disappointment. Like, it's inevitable. Like, there's always competition. There's always one person who wins or one team who wins and another who loses. But I think the most important piece about the losing aspect is changing the mindset around it. It's not just it's not losing and failing. It's winning or learning, like we said. So, if you're not winning, you're losing, but your losing is not something that you should view in a negative light. It should be something that you're taking from the loss, you're learning from it, you're trying to prepare better for the next opportunity to go out there and compete. So just having that understanding that it's a shift in mindset and not just like performance wise, and that's really important too.
Yeah. And wins and losses aren't always black and white, I mean, obviously, like, the saying is old as time, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So I'm not trying to say that, like, on the scoreboard's wrong or anything like that. But it could also be like, we outplayed them for 3.5 quarters and they just got hot in the last 5 minutes. We couldn't get a stop. We couldn't take care of the ball, and things happen. But like that's not always necessarily a performance you should dwell on, or that it should be something where it's like you just beating yourself up about it, right? Just because you have to take into consideration all the things that went on in the game. Like how did I handle myself? How did I play? Was I giving all my effort every play? Like those things are a lot more important than like what did the scoreboard say when the clock hit 0, right? But yeah, I think Giannis had a really good quote after, I can't remember if it was this year or last year, but a reporter asked him back-to-back years if he thought the season was a disappointment because they didn't get a ring. And I thought his answer was really good, and he's a polite guy, and he typically withholds himself from saying anything that's too out of character, too out of body. But he said something along the lines of, Jordan didn't win until his 8th year, something like that, 7th year. So we're the first 7 years of his career failure.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I mean, and when you think about it like that, it's like, if that is some other generation's greatest player of all time, and the first 7 years of his career were a failure, what does that say about every other person that's played the game?
Right.
Yeah. Like, I think it's a super unique perspective, and it's really mature. And he says, as long as you're growing, you're not like Why would I consider that a loss? If I'm taking steps forward every day, how is that a loss? Now, if I'm losing because I'm not trying, I'm not putting the effort in, I'm not being who I need to be for my team, then yeah, that is a failure. That is a disappointment, and you should be able to go back and reflect on that. But as long as you're growing, you're taking steps forward, I don't know that losses are necessarily should hold the weight that we've put on them. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, and I think another thing too about like why failure hurts so much is um, like the possibility of it bruising your ego. Like a lot of people just it just kills them to lose, and I think it should be more so an area where you realize that like this is where your growth starts. This is where your learning starts. This is an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, and we have to be able to normalize like the disappointment without letting like your loss or your negative performance define who you are. So being able to separate the two and understand that it's just a process. It's an opportunity for you to change the way you view it, and use it in a positive light. Use it in a way that'll help you moving forward rather than hurt you and keep you down in a slum.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like I like losing. I don't think Tyler's saying that
Yeah,
he
no.
likes losing. I was telling somebody the other day, it's like I I don't like saying like I'm trying to sort the word hate out of my vocabulary, but I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah.
I cannot stand losing. And I don't know. It makes sense in my head. I really don't like losing so much more than I enjoy winning. It's just that's the way it goes. But with that being said, I think you can take things from losses. And I had a coach come up to me the other day. I didn't have my best outing, and he was like, "Have you ever done like a post-reflective, I guess paragraph? It's just like a writing."
Little journal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go in, write down what worked for me that day, what didn't work for me that day, and then roll into my next outing with that, and have that go over it, have it in the back of my head, understand what I could have done better to execute, try to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think that that helped me a lot because it's just. I was talking to somebody about this today, especially like in a sport like football. I'm not saying baseball is necessarily like this, but football, you practice for 11 months of the year for 11 opportunities. So like every single opportunity, it holds a lot of weight when you think about it like that. It's like I literally just practiced for 225, 250 days this year, if not more, to play 11 of those days. Like that, it's pretty crazy when you think about it, like from a sense like that. And so it's understandable why like a performance would hold a lot of weight on your head, a lot of weight on your shoulders. But the scoreboard isn't the end all be all. You just have to make sure you're progressing, you're moving forward. You put your best foot forward that day, and the cards will fall the way they do.
Right. And I think like another avenue in terms of how to deal with the loss and how to bounce back from it in a positive light and taking accountability rather than like putting blame on different things. I think that's a big piece. And when you see athletes lose or they get didn't have the performance they wanted, a lot of them are instantly like like it's the refs or or they're doing something illegal or something like certain things like that. Just putting blame on everything else rather than taking responsibility. I've been want to do that, putting the blame on the refs a couple times. But I think it is important to understand and have that self-reflection after your loss or the negative performance that you weren't happy with. Like understanding that you can sit back and be like, okay, like what did I do? What did I do during my week that didn't help me out or didn't benefit for me? Like what can I change for the next week? Can I watch more film? Can I practice more? Can I do extra work? Can I get in, talk to coach, see what the schemes and different things like that. Like find ways in which you can take responsibility for the loss and better performance for the next following weeks. So
Yeah, I think, and I kind of wanted to ask you about like maybe a personal opportunity where you had something like that, because like, I mean, I guess it happens over almost every loss you play in, right? Like you're gonna go back and the way you criticize yourself after a loss is nothing like the way you criticize yourself after a win, right? And so, like after a loss, maybe was there a time where instead of learning, like you just felt like sorry for yourself, and then like if you can reflect on maybe the way that led into the next week, like how do you feel like you bounced back from it compared to maybe a week where you took it as something that could be just like a testimony of growth rather than like struggle.
Yeah. I would say if I go back to my high school days, I don't know, one of the COVID, I think it was the year after COVID, it was a team that we, going into the year, we didn't really know too many of the guys that came in because I went to a private school. So we were recruiting guys from all over the area. And I didn't feel as though we were the closest team. And it kind of showed throughout the season. And we played against a public school. We were a private school. We played against a public school that we were supposed to beat. And our schedule was kind of all over the place. We weren't playing like normal teams, but we were supposed to play the public school team. And supposedly they had been playing with each other since they were like 6 or 7, like Pop and Warner. They all grew up together, went to the same school. So you could tell they had like a close-knit group, and we kind of just were all over. But we ended up losing the game, and we just got torched. Like they were running the ball over us. They're like all over. Like we were turning the ball over a decent amount of times, and it just felt like what's going on? Like why? Like we kind of just started blaming certain things, and we weren't really like bouncing back from it. We didn't really learn. I feel as though we didn't really learn too much from it, and I think that experience shaped a lot, moving forward. Because then when I had moving down towards college, I was able to. We had a pretty positive year, but we ended up losing a game, and I was able to take my experience from high school and understand, like, okay, look, like this is not how you should respond from a loss. Because there wasn't too many times in between there where we lost games, or I've lost games on the teams I've been on, but I was able to understand that, like, I can't use that same perspective. I have to have a different avenue in terms of like how to digest or how to adjust to our loss, how to make different adjustments, find ways in which I can prepare better for the next week. So I think the experience in high school really was like a eye opener. It's like you can't just have blame. You can't just start blaming people. You have to really take accountability for your preparation, not take teams lightly, view every opponent, and don't play down to a level, certain things like that. Mm-hmm. But definitely in college, I was able to adjust that mindset, and I was able to feel a bit better about my preparation for the next week going into it.
Yeah, I think it's hard too because that was your junior year.
Yeah.
Did you play varsity? What, three years in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of stepping into a leadership role.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like the team's not going the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And it's hard as a leader because like you wanna kind of deal with yourself a little bit too before you have to worry about the team, but like you don't always have that luxury, I guess it is. Which is, I mean, it's okay. It's part of what you sign up for, like as you become a leader, right? But you have to understand that every action you have affects one of the younger guys, and you hear coaches say it all the time. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, for a long time I didn't believe it. I thought it was like, I don't remember when I was a sophomore like really looking at the seniors, but like then you kind of sit there and think about it, and you're like, I guess he was kind of acting crazy, so that might have led to me being a little bit out of my body too.
Thanks, one person. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely a bad seed. It could go a long way, but in the same way, if the younger guys see a leader after a big loss too, like it's not like it was like a preseason game or anything like that. Like we're like 2 weeks away from playoff games, and we just took a bad loss to like a school in our conference that we shouldn't have lost to. It's like they're kind of looking at you like, how are you going to bounce back? Because a lot of them, they're not carrying the same weight either, right? So you have a lot more weight, and they're like, okay, he's moving like that, and he has all this on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. The least we can do is at least keep our heads high for him, like out of a respect thing. So I think it's just there's different ways to look at it, but I would say like maybe a loss where I kind of hung my hat about it and didn't really care about taking any of the blame for it. It was one of my first baseball games back my senior year of high school because I didn't play my junior year. But my senior year, we were supposed to have a pretty good team. I just transferred back from my other school to come back home, and we played the sorriest school. Like, I don't think my pops coached at the school since I was like literally 7, 6, so I was always around it. And we played this school down the highway that, I mean, they just weren't very good. I don't think we'd ever lost to them. I don't know if we'd ever even had a close game with them. And obviously, my senior year, we lose to them, and we end up starting like 1-4 or something like that. And I was livid, and I was letting my teammates hear it. It was like, I don't even know why I came back. This is like, sorry, why are we so bad? I shouldn't have done this. And I was like literally just going through it. I didn't understand like how we even lost to that team. And then, I don't know, the boys got hot. We won like 25 straight after that. Ended up having a pretty good season.
Wow, 25 straight.
Yeah, it was it was kind of crazy, honestly. But we ended up getting to playoffs, and we have a 3-game series against one of the better teams in the section. And we dropped the first one. And so that was our first loss in like 2 months, 3 months. And I know I could have had a similar reaction because schematically, the way we played it didn't really make sense. Everyone on our team knew that. We had coaches on the staff know it, but there was just one decision that probably everybody wanted back. And so, like, I could have been there and been mad about it, pouted about it, let everybody hear about it, and kind of tore it down. But we also knew, like, I mean, for me, it was my senior year. One more loss and we're done, right? We're going home. So I kind of shake it off and then go and win the next one. We ended up losing game 3, but we were able to bounce back, get one of the wins. And so I think it was good for the momentum of the program and the school and things like that, because no matter what it is for me in life, whether it's a room, a place, people, I want to leave it better than I found it. And so, like, for the program, I thought we had done that, and so that was just something I was proud of the way it went from a losing experience to a learning experience. I was kind of able to grow from there. Yeah. And I'm sure you probably had similar things in high school too. You go to, I mean, you said it already, but you go to a competitive program, somebody that, I mean, is historically good, right? Like, yeah. You're a respected program in the area, probably in the state, honestly, and then you lose to a team you shouldn't lose to, and you have a little more eyes on you than maybe other programs would have to deal with.
Right.
And that, I mean, it's hard. It's pressure, and you have to, all you can do is learn from it at that point, because you're like, you just don't want to feel that again. You don't want to see all the news articles. You don't want to see it on social media, things like that. Do you think that's kind of a pressure of why losing comes with so much weight? Do you think a lot of it is the media, or do you think it's mostly like within or within a team, like things like that? What do you think plays into it most?
I think there's two different aspects. I think each person individually has their own pressures that they put on themselves for winning and losing. You know, no one likes to lose, like you said. Like, it's just like, you just don't like to lose. But I also think the media, social media, people posting about it, like the news articles, different things like that, also add a whole bunch of different pressure, because it's like, okay, now we have these outside eyes looking in on like our performance and our loss, and it's like, oh, that's embarrassing. Everyone's gonna think that we're like a terrible team now because we lost to a team that we should have beat, and like now we're taking that all on our shoulders, putting that additional pressure on our shoulders, which is like, it makes it harder. So, but also, like, we had a conversation about this one of the last episodes where like, it's people's jobs to criticize people's performances, like things like that. So, you know, it's one of those things where you kind of just have to block out, and you can't let that pressure build up. But it's definitely something that I think adds to people and people take that into account when they're dealing with the pressure of the loss and things like that. But also, I want to circle back to what we were talking about when you said how the older guys' influence and response after a loss is very impactful on the rest of the team and the younger guys looking up to them. In addition to that, I also think it's the coach's response to the loss, because I've been in situations where we lost a game or we didn't play the best, or we lost a game where we shouldn't have lost, and I've had coaches respond in a way where it's like, okay, well, that I've never responded to a loss that way, but now I can see it impacting how everyone else is responding. It's a very contagious feeling, and when you have a coach that is in control of the rest of the team, you can see how that impacts everybody, and you can see how that impacts how people respond. So I think that from a coaching standpoint, I think coaches need to realize that they do have a lot of influence on the players, and how they respond to a loss is very impactful and will determine how the rest of the season goes. And even in life, because some people take how maybe a coach responds to this, and they might adopt that for themselves and apply that to the rest of their life. So coaches need to realize that they do have a lot of impact and influence on others and their players and teams that they coach, because it is really important to understand that losses happen, and it's not only just your sport, but just in life in general, and how you respond is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think coaching is far from a light role, and you see a lot of people. I mean, they kind of make like jokes about it almost. I don't know if you've seen Hardball, but like Keanu Reeves ends up having to go and coach an inner city little league team as like a joke, like a punishment.
Yeah.
Well, coaching, it's just, I mean, it's hard. They really don't get a ton of praise unless you're like a Nick Saban type of guy, like somebody that's just historically phenomenal.
Yeah.
But like, you don't get any praise for you truly have the brain and the ego and the feelings of all of these young kids that you're responsible for making sure they develop the right way.
Right.
Through coaching. It's not even through like, I'm going to teach you how to be a man. No, you're going to sit here and tell me how to run plays. That's
It's like indirectly teaching them things that you might not even realize you're teaching them. Like you there's so many stories where it's like, oh yeah, like I learned this from my coach back in the day. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even know I was preaching that to them. I didn't even know you got that from what I said. So.
Yeah, no, I think definitely need to add some respect in addition to, because maybe they don't understand everything that they impact too.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like I'm sure there's cases where even like my pops, for example, he had a guy reach out that he never even like realized he had touched his life, and he reached out and told him happy birthday, and he was like, told me about it, and I was like, dang, that made me happy. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy, just because you don't realize how positive you can be in like something that seems so just like, I don't know. It's like if I'm coaching football, I'm not thinking about anything but football.
But
like
football, you don't realize the life lessons you're teaching them, like whether it's directly or indirectly. Yeah.
Yeah, and people talk about like babies or toddlers being sponges, but I think the best quality a person can have for life is just be a sponge. Take what you're learning, and I think athletes are really good at that. You talk about guys being coachable, and that's not just, you can't, I promise you, people aren't only, if you're coachable as an athlete, you're probably coachable as a person too.
Right.
Whether you realize it or not, you're ever growing, ever evolving. Just like you are in your sport. Like if you can take coaching, you can grow. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But I think, like, would you say, I don't even know how I'm trying to like frame this.
What are you thinking?
Would you say like your coaches had a greater impact on you than maybe like your teachers? Because obviously you spend, as a kid, you were spending 8 hours a day in the classroom or whatever, 7 hours, 6 hours. And like, would you say you learn as much from them as you have from coaches, or I
Um,
know because I know my answer, but I think it could vary per person and like their experiences and things like that.
yeah, that's a really good question. I want to say because I have had a lot of teachers that have had a very strong and lasting impact on my life. So I want to say it's pretty even because
Mm.
I took my education and academics very seriously too. So it wasn't just like I was just applying myself to my sport. I would take what my teachers would teach me in class and also apply it to my life. So I think it's even. Like on the field, like I was spending a lot of time with different coaches, you know, doing hard things over and over with people that had the same common goal as you know, understanding that, you know, things aren't easy. You're gonna have to do hard things to win. You're gonna have to do hard things just to survive. So that is something that I've taken on throughout the rest of my life. But also in the academic standpoint, like time management and learning and continuing to learn and asking the right questions and understanding that there's never a wrong question, certain things like that, like advocating for yourself, asking for help, standing up for what you believe in. So it's like I would say it's pretty balanced in both the academic and athletic world, and having teachers and coaches that both have impacted me in that way.
Yeah, and the reason I asked just to kind of bring it back to full circle, understand how we even got to this part of the
Yeah.
conversation is as a student, you deal with a ton of failure. Um, and obviously, I don't think we always see it as like failure, and a lot of it has to do with your perspective. But if you're like, you're missing, like, you're not doing well on homework assignments, maybe you bomb a test, you're just going over something that you can't seem to like get down. I know mine like was physics. There was this problem, this formula we were trying to use, and I just could not figure it out, and it was like just beating me up.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I haven't had to take physics in like 4 years now. Hopefully it keeps going that way. But I think you deal with failure in so many different facets, or not failure, losses, disappointments, whatever you want to call them. But the way you respond across all of it is probably more consistent than you'd think. The way you respond to failure on the field in some way aligns with the way you deal with failure in a classroom or failure in the workplace as well. And I'm not saying it's verbatim. Like, I don't think I would say the same stuff if I throw an interception as I would if maybe I put something on the wrong shelf at work.
Right.
But like your response mechanisms and like what goes through your head, it's probably relatively similar. So I think having that understanding and maybe trying to use some of those a little lower intensity disappointments, losses as learning experiences, and maybe like reflective experiences where you can be like, okay, I messed up in that, and this is why I did. It made me feel better. Maybe I can apply that on the field. Maybe it was sit there, think about it for a couple seconds, and then flush it. Maybe it was after it happened, I wrote it down, made sure it didn't happen again. Maybe that's how I responded. There's all kinds of learning mechanisms, and I think no matter what it is, as long as you're trying, as long as you're moving forward with it, I don't think, I truly feel like you can't be wrong in a loss. There's no, it's hard because like the competitor in me is like kind of disagrees with like where my heart and mind are at, because it's like you can never lose too much. There was I mean, Jordan, LeBron, they've had some really, really, really bad seasons, like under 500. They're still two of the best to ever do it. Tom Brady, I mean, everybody knows Tom's story, but Tom has had the highest of highs and lowest of lows in his football career. But he is undisputably the greatest to ever do it. And so it's like, were those really failures? I mean, he learned, and he played, what, 22 seasons, something like that?
Yeah.
21 seasons and won 7 rings. So you're trying to tell me 14, 15 of Tom Brady's seasons are failures? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And I think we can apply that to ourselves, because I don't think there was one time I lost a playoff game and was like, dang, I feel really good about the season we just had, right? Like, after every time I lost a playoff game, it was like I'm beating myself up. I thought there was no reason we should have lost, and then it's like I don't even want to look at the sport for a little bit now. Like I'm not so. Instead of taking it as a learning experience, I just pushed it away and kind of dwelled on it. And I think looking back on it, at a lot of points in my career, I wish I had a mentality a little closer to what I have now. I understand it wouldn't be the same just because of the way growth works, but maybe a little closer to the way I am now, and kind of seeing what I could have created, like what kind of legacy I could have left behind, opposed to what I already have. Not that there's anything wrong with what I've done. I'm proud of what I've left, but I think any athlete can look at it and be like, dang, I might have left something on the table there. And so just wishing I could have that back and understand that your loss isn't, I don't even remember like how my losses were last year. And so like losses 5, 10, 15 years ago now, I guess. Like it's not the end of the world.
Right. Yes. Just because you lose a game, the world's not over. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's hard as a young athlete to understand that too. And I know you like to do something where you'd give advice to a young athlete, and so I want you to give it today, because I know a lot of times you ask. So like, say, young athlete, freshman, sophomore year of high school, just lost their first playoff game in their respective sport. What's the advice here?
I would say, like, as much as we hate losing, I think it's important to know that winning isn't always growth. You don't really learn too much from winning. Sometimes you win, you overlook the things that you need to work on, things that you need to, perfect. And it's important to understand that success, like, masks your flaws. But like when you lose and you fail, like, it exposes your weaknesses, it exposes certain things you need to work on. So that's something that you can take in consideration when you are in a position where you're losing a game that you feel it's very important to you, but you understand that, it's not end all be all. You're going to get a good experience out of it because you've rewired your mindset about the loss. You've rewired your thinking and how you react towards the next experience moving forward. So,
yeah, I think the part about how much more you learn from a loss than from a win, and how much more growth you're going to see after that. It's almost like a lot of times on social media, I'll see people talking about like a trauma bond or something like that. Like something happens and like, oh, we have this trauma bond, and it's like, it's crazy and it sucks to think about, but the way people can come together, the way people can grow after hard things that happen, after disappointments, after failures, after loss, things like that, it's exponential compared to like what happens after success or after a win. It's like, I don't even know. Like it's weird, but it's like everybody's fuel is different, and maybe some people do see a win and they're like, I can't wait to get back in the gym. Like, I just want to go again.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, I know that everything I've lost, every time I've lost, it's only made me want to like move forward more, want to drive more, want to make sure that it doesn't happen again, because that, like I said, that feeling of losing, I just can't stand it. And I think it's okay to not stand it, but still understand that.
It's
still
important.
understand that. Yeah, your world doesn't fold just because you lost. Like,
Right, yeah. It's not over. You still can learn it. You still can get a lot of pieces from it, and it's not like you got to stop viewing it in a negative light. Because, I mean, I get it. Like, it might affect your record. It might affect your possibility to, enter the playoffs or whatever it may be. But you having a negative connotation to that could eventually affect your life moving forward down the line. So you have to be able to learn it now while you're young, and you do have these experiences that are not directly to your like towards your life, but understand that you can change that mindset and help you apply it to other things too.
Yeah, that's important too, because you said like the way you handle it might affect your life. Like, I mean, it is important. It's important. I've completely identified in sports, and I'm glad I don't anymore, and I'm glad I understand that it is just a game. It's a game that's
Right.
super important to me, that I hold very valuable, right? But
Right.
it's still just a game. And
Mhm.
so not letting it become more than a game, not letting it mess up anything else that you have going on, because it shouldn't put this gray cloud over your entire life just because you didn't win a game.
Yeah.
Your team didn't score more points than the other team. Like that shouldn't that shouldn't mess up the way you go about tomorrow or the next
Yeah.
week or things like that. And it is hard. It's not. I'm not saying I've even done that all the time. I'm not saying I do it all the time. There's times where I do feel sorry for myself even into the next day
Hmm.
or that night. But I think having an understanding of them doing it, like having that self awareness, that's like, all right, like I've been upset about it for a little bit now. Let me move on. Let me look back, see what I should have done different.
Right.
So I don't think we're trying to tell anybody that those feelings aren't normal. I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want anybody to feel that way. I don't want anybody to tear themselves down because of a scoreboard.
Yeah.
But I understand that it happens. I understand that that's part of the reality of being an athlete in today's world. But
Right.
I do think we can grow to a point where if we can't at least suppress it a little bit, I mean, hopefully just get rid of it, but at least just tone it down a little bit, make it a little more minute, like keep it in a box. It doesn't need to be this big scary thing. Have a little place for it. Get it a bed and just leave it in the bed when you're done with it, because at the end of the day, it's gonna go to sleep and it's gonna be over. Just bury it, let it be what it was. Feel it as long as you need to, but understand there is tomorrow. You're gonna have another opportunity, and you have to get ready for it. You can't sit there and be so mad about one performance that you let it bleed into another one, because that's a dark spiral, and that's something that's hard to get out of too. When you one carries over to another, and then it becomes 3 games, and then it becomes every day, and then you know what I mean. So just doing what you can to flush it while you can, put it to bed, let it
Right.
be, it's important, and it's something that as a young athlete, it's important to learn it early too, because I mean when I'm not I'm not like Unc, I'm not his old head, but um, I think when you're 11, 12, 13 years old, you're starting to really, really love these sports. That can be when those spirals start. And when you pick up those habits young, it's a lot harder to kill an old habit than it is to just let something go.
Right. And that sometimes prevents people from even wanting to play at the next level because they already have that pressure on them at a young age, you know? Like, oh, I can't I can't lose. Like, I don't want to be on this team because we might lose. Like, things like that. And it's like, that makes the sport miserable, you know? So learning to, even at that age, you might not even realize that that's what you're doing. So that's why I also said it's important for coaches to realize that their style and their response to losing has an impact on their players, because that might make them not want to play depending on how you're responding to the loss too. So honestly, at that age, you do have the ability to, try to realize that, it's not the end of the world and it's just a sport. You're just out there having fun at the end of the day, because you don't want to create that pressure that early and prevent you from playing a sport later on that you really do love.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's always been like this, but as I've gotten older, I feel like I see more and more younger kids being done with sports early because of like this burnout.
Right.
They get so caught up in it, and it's like you're 12 years old and you're burnt out like that.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
It's like the peak. It's supposed to be the
Yeah,
peak.
that's supposed to be like the most fun you've ever had
Yeah.
playing the game, and like you're burnt out. So I think a lot of it's just negative experiences, and maybe like you said, not having that guide, not having somebody to show you that it's not, even though it's not all, this isn't going to be your best experience ever, it's not all sunshines and rainbows the whole time. Like you're gonna have cloudy days, but you have to let the cloudy day be the cloudy day, and wake up and just hope it's not cloudy the next day, right? Like do
Exactly.
what you can to, or maybe you just prepare better for it. Put on a raincoat that day and
Yeah. Bring an
listen to
umbrella,
music.
some
Yeah,
rain boots, you
put
good.
your boots on and go jump around in the puddles instead of complaining about it.
Yep.
Um, I think so much of it's all perspective. You can't, no matter how good you are, how hard you try, you are never gonna be 100% accountable for a loss in team sport
Yeah.
or a win. So like, you can't weigh your entire being on something that was the result of a collective, right?
Yeah, and I also think now that you say that, honestly, I'm thinking about sports that are individual, and that pressure that people probably do put on themselves, knowing that it is an individual sport and they're the only person who had an impact on their performance. So like golf or like some tennis or like things like that, and it's like wow, like okay, like imagine me playing in a bigger sport and I'm putting this much pressure on myself, but there is 10 other people or however many people on a team that also have an impact on the game. Now you think about it from a person or a perspective where it's only one person performing, like they probably put way more pressure on themselves. Like they don't even have the opportunity to say, "Oh, it's this part of the team." It's all on them. So like, I just want to like just recognize that and you know that like kind of have a different perspective now. Really thinking
Yeah,
about that.
I see you. I'm sorry, y'all gotta deal with that. Like golf,
Yeah, like it's like I
golf
mean,
is crazy because like you can't blame a ref,
yeah,
you can't blame a teammate, you
yeah,
can't blame a coach.
it's all on
You're
you.
just up there swinging it, and it's like that. That's why I think they call it the mental game. I'm pretty sure, but like
Yeah,
that is
I
that's
can see that
wicked to
being.
me. It's that like if I have this much pressure on me, while like you said, I got 8 or 10 other guys that have my back while it's going. I cannot imagine. It almost makes me grateful I can't swim because I was never even able to like try it. Because like
Yeah, no, that's
swimming, there's no ref either. It's just like
it's
you just
you.
have to. You got to go out there and be the best version of you can be.
Yeah,
And I think sports like that, those learning experiences are even more important
right.
because like it's all on you.
Yeah, they probably benefit a lot more later down the road, just because they have had that, that ability to, or opportunity to, really apply that later down their life.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I would love to
literally
sit down and talk to a swimmer or like someone who plays golf or something like that, just the individual
yeah.
sports, just to see how they cope with losing because you can't like it's all on you.
We'll have to get somebody on, and
Yeah,
that I think it's like I'm glad we actually talked about this. I never even thought about it like that.
me neither.
That's and I think it probably does help them, like you said, later on in life, down the road. It's when life is kicking me in the butt. It's like, bro, where's my tackle? Like,
Yeah,
where's my guys? And so like it's for them. I mean, they know like I better dig myself out of this hole. No one's coming to get me.
right. Yeah, they probably know. It's like they don't have anyone else to rely on. It's just them. So it probably makes the resilience even much stronger for them for sure.
I think that, but that's what sets apart people that are great team athletes too. Those people that all they want to do from their loss is just get back to work, just grow.
Yeah.
Like you'll see videos about. This is the reason like TikTok is bad at night for me because like I'll come across a Kobe edit and it's like
Oh yeah.
11:30 and it's like no shot I'm going to sleep anytime soon. I feel like I'm ready to run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
And so, like, some of those guys with just that mentality, like, you'll see Tom Brady talk about it, and he is just, like, it was almost like losing just flipped a switch in him. It turned something on that, like, a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you really want to be great, you gotta have that. And you don't, I mean, you don't have to be as, like, necessarily, like, psychotic, but, I mean, you gotta have that.
That edge to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys have a certain level of drive that like it's just almost inhumane. Like it's so unique to. I don't know if it's just athletes because obviously I haven't been around a lot of other people, but I'm sure like in the business world you hear like that guy's a shark. Like he went and did
Yeah,
all that. Like the Wolf of Wall Street, that guy just wanted like he was gonna do whatever he could to get his, no matter what he was going through.
yeah.
Um,
You know what's actually crazy?
hmm,
Jordan Belfort was actually at my job like 2 weeks ago.
really?
He showed up to my job, and I work at a restaurant in Westport, and
Uh-huh.
he was there, and I was like busting tables and stuff, and he came. He was like, "Hey, like we're ready for the check," and gave me like his Atlas like platinum card, and it was mad heavy. Yeah, I was like, "This is a guy from." I was like, "This is a guy from Wolf of Wall Street." This is who the story is about. So, but yeah,
That's
it's funny that you
crazy.
just mentioned that.
Yeah. But like the drive they get, like these people have, and it's all from low points. Like
Mhm.
you don't, like even, I mean, if we're already talking about Jordan, he was selling penny stocks,
Oh yeah,
literally rock bottom. Um, and I mean, he went and got everything he got. If you've seen the movie, you have. If not, just know he made a lot of money. And it
yeah,
wasn't, maybe not have been the best way to do it, but
yeah,
he did it. So congrats to him. But like, I mean, we'll circle back to sports and
yeah,
talk about, I mean, those 7 years of Jordan. Like, I guess even more full circle. We were talking about that Giannis quote earlier. If Jordan would have laid down after his first 7 NBA seasons where he wasn't able to get a ring, he was one and done, bounced in the first round. If he would have been like, maybe this is my peak, this is all I have, and like I'll just be upset about it, but it kind of is what it is. He wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have a quarter of the legacy he has today.
right,
Like
yeah,
it's not. There's no Jordan brand. There's no. I mean, I guess for him, life as we know it changes because the Jordan shoes aren't there.
yeah,
Everybody's still wearing K Swiss. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
like that's what y'all are rocking. But like he was so great because he was able to use losses as learning experiences, and it was all drive. It was all fuel, and I think that's all we're trying to say. We want people to do to deal with it because it's not fun. That's not what we're trying to say. We're not trying to say we're happy when we lose,
mhm,
but it's it doesn't have to have this dark stigma that like it's like an avoidance thing. Like I don't want to touch it.
yeah.
No, get your hands all over it and go to work.
Yeah, you have to actually be comfortable losing because it's like
Mhm.
you really do understand, or as you have more and more experiences, you understand that or losing is just a learning experience.
Yeah,
You really have to take that serious, and every time you lose, it's like, what can I get out of it? Be appreciative of the loss, and just attack it that way rather than just um, letting it be something negative and something you're afraid of. And that's another thing too, like being afraid to lose.
hmm,
Like, yeah, that's just honestly a bad way to attack.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
I mean, I've been there. Like you
yeah,
put yourself in a bubble. You're playing so tight where it's like, God, I just can't mess up. So
hmm,
if I don't mess up, we're gonna be okay. And then anytime you think about not making a mistake, you're gonna make a mistake. It's just like that's what's it called? There's a theory for it. I can't think of what it's called.
hmm,
But like you say something bad, and it's gonna happen pretty much. Um, but there was one thing I really wanted to touch on that you just said. Dang. Um,
I was talking about what was I saying? Learning from what did I say?
oh, yeah, just like putting yourself in a bubble.
Oh yes, yes.
So being like so afraid to mess up. I think one of the things that athletes, where we benefit most is when we can get creative, when we can look outside the bubble, do things a unique way, because there's this expected outcome all the time. There's something you expect to happen. Like if I'm a quarterback and I go to throw a ball, I expect a DB to drive on it. Well, so maybe I'm going to pump fake, if he's sitting on it, he knows I'm gonna pump fake. Like it's unique. It's unique that people can do things that aren't necessarily. Some things are just like they can't be coached, and
Yeah.
you have to develop them on your own. You have to learn them, and a lot of times you're just working hard, and they kind of show up. Like they'll show themselves to you. But being willing to take those creative tools in your game is super important to elevating your game. Like making Patrick Mahomes does a lot of stuff that is just like so silly, and it's if somebody would have done that in 1980, they would have locked him up for witchcraft probably. Like it's Kyrie Irving, like these guys that they do stuff that's just it's so just out of the ordinary, and that's what makes them so special. It's you have to have these intangibles that other people don't have if you want to be great.
Right.
Okay, I remember what. So, like, as athletes that watch film, I know football, basketball, it is hard to watch film when you know you've made mistakes, when you know you've lost. Like, you're sitting in the room, kind of feel everybody's eyes on you.
Mm-hmm.
Coach is saying some stuff you probably shouldn't repeat outside of the room. And it's hard to go back and reflect on it, but that's also, like, where you are going to grow more than you ever have probably, because it's one thing for somebody to tell you what you did, but when you can go back and actually watch and be like, I didn't even realize I had done that, or I missed that, or whatever it was. It's all like with a grain of salt. I think that's one thing that might make us a little more similar to those individual athletes is like when you're watching film, you can't blame anybody else when you see the
Literally.
mistakes. So, like I guess that's a correlation to it. I'm not saying we have that same pressure they have, but like everybody's judging you, especially if you're in a team meet. If you're in a team meeting and they're showing lowlights, take it with a grain of salt. Just roll with it.
That's something you just got to be like, all right, yeah.
It's gonna happen, but that's why film's so important. You can make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right. And it really forces you to take that accountability aspect too. Like, not the blame game. Like we have it right here on camera, right here on film. You can take what the video shows and really understand that. Okay, what can I get from it?
Yeah.
Me, it's my bad. I gotta change. I gotta alter the way I prepared.
And that's one of those things. It goes from wanting to learn from it to having to learn from it. You have no choice, because if you do it again, just don't let it happen again.
Yeah, no.
Don't do it again. That's my advice. Just learn from it, move on, and leave it in the past. Like I said, put it in that bed, put it to sleep, never say hi to it again. Lock it up, throw away the key.
Yep, literally. I mean, because it's like not even just learning, but like understanding that once you learn from a mistake, don't make the same mistake. Like coaches will say all the time, like, the guy in front of you just made that mistake. Don't go out there and be blind. Like, look at what other people do too as a way to help you out. So, like, understand that you, like, after you take the accountability from the first loss or whatever it is, try to prevent that same thing from happening. Don't try to not make the same mistake over and over.
Mm-hmm. And if you thought your coach was mad the first time he saw the mistake, don't make sure you are not the person to let it happen again too, because that's a whole new monster, completely different. Yeah, just don't do it.
For sure, you gotta be able to change that.
But I feel like this was solid, bro. I don't know if you have anything else you want to touch on, or you.
I think we touched up on a lot of the things I wanted to talk about. How important it is to really understand that it's a mindset shift. It's not just something. It's not just a slogan. When I learn, it really means something. And there's a difference between losing and failing versus losing and growing. So
yeah, it's all perspective and mentality.
Right.
Like honestly, I don't think it's not a physical thing. It's not a measurable thing. It all has to be in between your ears, and the only person in control of that is you.
Yes, 100%. I do have one wrap up sentence for us.
I was ready for it. I was waiting for it.
Okay. Wins are great, but the losses build your foundation. When you choose to learn instead of fold, You're showing the world you're built to last. And that's a wrap on episode 8. I want to learn mindset, man.
I think
Appreciate
that was one of the better ones. I think that
Yeah,
was yeah. I thought that was really solid.
it was quick, a
Um,
little precise. Got straight to the point.
yeah, straight to it. That's like I don't even know. It was solid though. But
Love it.
I mean, I always appreciate conversations with you, bro.
Appreciate it too, man. This is great. I mean, we
Yeah,
we also appreciate all the support we've been having. We got people coming up to me saying how much they appreciate the podcast. We're just trying to do our part, spread our passion, let people know that it's okay to talk about certain things that you're struggling with, and you're not alone. A lot of people are going through the same thing. So
100%. You're never alone. We've said it in multiple episodes. I'd rather get I'd rather get a text message from you than a phone call from somebody else,
yeah,
please. Or a phone call from you than a phone call from somebody else. So just you're not alone. Me and Tyler, we care about y'all. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out. As we said, both of our contacts are there. But yeah, we appreciate all the support.
yes, sir.
Episode 8, put a bow on it, man.
That's a wrap.
Appreciate y'all.